doing all right.
Someone says, "Hey Javad, I see you're into DIY hi-fi. What aspects of building speakers and building high-performance cars are the same, and what is different?" Oh, that's a great question. Um, yeah, I was really into speaker stuff when I was a kid. Like in high school, I did a lot of car audio, and after I got kind of bored with car audio, I started doing home audio and building home speakers. But this was in the '90s, so there wasn't a lot of technology to really help you do it. There were like these cardboard calculators where you would like slide the cardboard, and you'd have some of the different Thiel small parameters, and it would tell you what box size.
Slide rule.
Yeah, I mean it's basically like these like little decoder rings that were they kind of point you in the right direction. And so I kind of just on a whim one day, because I got a new TV at home. This was like 2015, and I was like thinking about adding some speakers to it. And so I just decided to go online and start looking around. And how the DIY speaker building hobby had progressed over the last 15 years just blew my mind. And the things like when I was a kid, the things like JBL and Harman Kardon and Klipsch or whoever professionals, they had these laboratories, and so you couldn't access that. But now, 20 years later, you could literally have you know similar types of tools and resources in your home, and a lot of it was free that really smart people online had developed. So I kind of jumped in head first. And to answer your question, um, I talk a lot about compromises. Compromise comes as a big component of designing a speaker. There's all these different uh, theories and tactics that you can implement, but each one has a positive and negative effect. Um, and so there's always, well, if you do this, you'll improve these two things, and you'll make a negative impact to this one thing. Is that a good choice you want to make? And ultimately, you're working at optimizing these compromises and minimizing the negatives while trying to maximize the positives. And it's very similar to what we do with car performance. Um, you know, for example, a suspension spring. Is it better to have a lower center of gravity? Yes. But does that mean your shock is now bottomed out? Yes. So you lower the center of gravity, which is good, but now you have no damping, which is bad. And so there's all these decisions that have to be made, and they're very complex. They're not explained by conventional wisdom, rules of thumb, certainly common sense either. These are intricate dynamics that interplay with each other that have to be carefully considered, modeled, tested, validated. And so I think if you have the right mindset, you can apply that methodology to designing speakers, designing car parts, building a race car, to cooking, um,
Many, many
to a
things.
degree to human relationships, although I won't get into that because someone will probably think that I'm trying to science friendships. But to a degree, you can. There's a certain way you respond to someone, and there's a certain reaction you get back. Um, and so things
Yeah, I
become
mean it's
pretty predictable.
yeah. So many things in life are formulaic
Yeah,
to at some basic level.
yeah. But I think at the core of what I love about all the things that I'm into is creating. To me, creating something is one of the most satisfying things that I can do, the most rewarding things, especially when that creation solves a problem. Uh, to identify that problem, to evaluate the possible solutions, to implement it correctly, to test it, to validate it, to have other people test and validate it. So a lot of the speakers that I design, I publish and document the designs, and other people build them. And then I see them building them, and they get the same satisfaction that I did from that solution. Similar with cooking, I publish a lot of my recipes and cooking techniques. Certainly, every day, seeing the happiness and satisfaction of our customers here at 034 Motorsport, that makes me incredibly happy. So, I'm not really motivated by making lots of money, although certainly do try to make a good living so that I can provide for my family and that I can retire someday and all that. But really, what drives me is creating solutions that solve problems, and once it's recognized by other people, I think that to me really closes the loop on the value of that whole process. Um, but if you're interested in speaker building, I have a Facebook group called DIY Loudspeaker Project Pad. I actually see a lot of our customers join it. When someone applies to the page, I can see what other groups they're in. I think just yesterday, someone was in like one of the RS3 groups that I approved. But cars are fun, but speaker building, you can do it at home in your garage. There's no grease, which is really nice. Sawdust, you can kind of vacuum it on. And
His request now for an 034 cookbook.
so, anyways, great question. Thank you. I could talk all day about that, but
He actually replied to thank you, and he thinks the magic is in basically the iteration of the product, continuing improvement.
yeah, continual improvement is key, and the only way you can improve is by really accurately evaluating what actually makes the improvement. I mean, a lot of what we do in the group is debunking conventional wisdom or rules of thumbs. And it's like, yeah, no, I get why someone made a rule out of that, but it's totally missing the actual dynamic. Then once you put in other factors, that all goes out the window. So